Hey, good morning. Welcome to Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg, and it is the 30th day of November 2023. Looks like we're having a little problem with Rumble this morning. I'm not seeing this thing fire off, so I don't know what's going on there. I'm going to go ahead and send a message to the stream a minute, and then we're going to get going. I'm going to welcome my first guest on, Judah Ayers. How you doing?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, let me send a message off. You can go ahead and start talking, but for some reason, Rumble is glitching here, and I don't know why. Oh, we got one up, and let me see about the other one here. It's the Brandenburg for Governor one. Let's see if we can get this thing working. But I'm doing good. So, what's happening in Judah's world today?
Well, just we got beautiful sunshine. We got another day, and it's just exciting that around us the truth is just coming out of every crevice and hole, and people are waking up and people are learning the truth, and so it's exciting to be on our side of the field and being able to see what's happening.
Yeah, it really is, and more is coming forward every day. You know, Henry Kissinger died at 100 yesterday, and you were aware of it. You sent me the link too, and I hate to say it, but some of these people sitting at the top, I'm sorry for the people that had their loss there for him. But when you look at what this man was involved in, I can't say that this is a loss to the planet.
Not at all. Probably it's a huge victory.
I believe it is too. And we can't, we can be sorry, you know, like the Lone Ranger, they were always sorry that people made bad choices, right? Because nobody gloated when somebody made bad choices, or they decided to walk away from God. It was or the right thing. And so we're sorry for that. But when somebody makes blatant bad choices that are harmful to other people, I don't spend a lot of time crying over it.
Well, he wasn't even bad choices. This is what we confront in terms of pure evil. That's light versus darkness, and
it's exactly what it
is just pure evil. And the designer, architect of the New World Order, and so at least one of them, and a mentor to Klaus Schwab. So I mean, this is the bottom of the pit. And today, you know what? He's not going to heaven. And you know what? Angels rejoice, because you know what? They take care of what needs to be taken care of, and the truth on all that stuff's coming out. And what we can do in the kingdom of God is just stand in righteousness, move forward, and tell people the truth. And as people, one of my good friends, his name's Coach Dave. He's got a TV show called Coach Dave Live. But he says, don't get butt hurt. Keep moving, advancing the ball down the field. We're on the goal line, and this is the time to stick the ball in the end zone. And it's just an exciting time. So
it really is. So you and I have been having some wonderful discussions, on everything in Michigan and the ties to the globalists, especially the I hate to say it, but I'm going to just go ahead and say it. The DeVos family and Amway, and the shocking truths that you've uncovered going on here. But I mean, we've talked about a whole lot of stuff lately, and I really appreciate the amount of investigation that you have done personally as an individual to really show what's going on behind the scenes, and the connection with, say, Betsy DeVos resigning on the 7th of January. This whole thing was orchestrated. I talked to another guy that he was kind of funny to me. He said, this is not orchestrated. They just went ahead and used human behavior. Well, that may be true to a certain point for J6, but they knew exactly what they were doing. And not only did they know what they were doing, but the Fed and this Fedsurrection was pushing people in that Capitol. There's no way. I was there. There's no way that anybody's going to breach that unless they're just walked right in there.
Oh yeah, and those doors, they're closed by 1,000-pound weight magnets, and literally there's no way to get in there unless it was opened up and exposed. And that truth has been told. Ivan Ranklin is sharing that. Dave Summerall and these guys, they're on the ground floor of truth, sharing every nook and cranny for the American people to learn. And that day, as you were there, I was there as well. And I was there to pray for my country. I was there to stand in righteousness. And what we were witness to, that's the thing. We were witness to the show. We were witness to pure evil. They tried to invert things for their own gain. And here's what's awesome is on January 7th, when she resigned, she got caught. And, it's not necessarily the incident that catches everybody. It's the cover up. And is what we're learning is because when you try to cover up a lie, it's just a matter of time before it catches you. And theirs is just compounding on top of everything that they're doing.
Well, Ivan was up in, I think, New Hampshire with a gentleman named David up there. And I'm pretty excited about this. I'm going to try to get him to come on because he's doing pro se filing up there and he's winning. He won. So that's really, really exciting to see this stuff really moving forward, So Ivan does a great job. I really like Ivan. He's funny.
He is awesome. He is a man with many smiles. And I just love his energy. But he wields the sword of truth, and he's growing in the word daily. But he's a friend and a warrior, and I love that man.
Yeah, well, everybody that's standing up for this nation, it's kind of fun. It's like you meet people randomly and there's no coincidences, right? But all of a sudden you realize that everybody that you're meeting is truly family, and we have the same heart because we have the heart for God and his purposes here and our brothers and sisters here on in this world. And there's a bond there that you can't deny, and it's really amazing how God's brought us all together. And all I can say is I'm really thankful. What a great time to be alive.
It really is. It's so exciting. And all this doom and gloom that everyone has on the planet, these people, what they tried to pull off on not only the American people, but the entire world is backfiring. And, a lot of people, all these social media platforms where they keep painting doom and gloom. Yeah, we're going to have to face the music and face the truth. But, man, all the good things that are happening because patriots like you stood in the gap and said, no. We got mama bears who said, no. They want to defend their children. They want to defend their flocks. And you know what? As we're coming to find out, the families and the people that are behind all these things, you know what? We talked about the topic was Freemasonry. And what people don't understand is that's the inversion of basically things. They use black magic to invert the truth to be able to fool the people. And, they think they get brownie points in terms of these things that they do behind closed doors and in their secret societies. But their whole goal is to fool the people into what they're doing. And what's great is that we as believers, those that are in Christ, we see through that stuff. And what's awesome is that now more and more people are waking up and they're starting to learn that, they were fooled. And I think it's awesome. You pull on this little string, I got like this coat here. You pull on this little string, this thread, and next thing you know, the whole thing starts coming unwoven. And that's what's great is that, people always ask me all the time, well, hey, aren't you fearful for going out and sharing these truths and things like that? And I said, heck no. Why would I be fearful when I've got the heart of the Lion of Judah inside of me who says, go forward and he'll provide the shield of protection. And for you, we talked about it all the time is that, the more of us that we keep lighting other people's flames, the more of us that they can't stop. And it's just beautiful to see more and more people out there who are now digging. We need more people digging into these truths and exposing these things and sharing them with them. And quite honestly, the election is what really did it. And thank God Donald Trump and his team, or the team behind him, of generals who said, we're going to put a stop to this. And, is full stop exposure to what's going on. And so that's the things that we've kind of learned through the communications that he's put out in his platform that some people don't understand his misspellings.
Yeah, the whole thing is really amazing. Hey, let's talk about some more of this whole DeVos and Amway nonsense out there, because I'm just every day that more and more of this is coming out, I'm just literally shocked. Like the sun that's in the Amway Grand Plaza, it looks like an altar. And then once you look at it, and then there's that picture of some sort of a little entity with a paw and a basket of apples or something like that up there. You sent that to me and I'm like, Wow. It's right in front of our faces. And then can you go into their little display of Egyptian gods in the entryway of Amway, and also the Pfizer plant that they funded right there?
Yeah, that's a lot to unthread there.
Well, there's a lot of ways we can go. I mean, we could go to Miss Freemasonry and whatever you want to go to on that one too, because this is so it's good. We have to throw all the cards right out on the table.
Yeah, you know what it really comes down to is like, so for example, when you qualify as what's called a platinum in the Amway business, you take a trip up to the corporation, and taking those trips and going up there, and years I spent in that business, which, by the way, for anybody who's listening, share that communication, share my website with anybody who's in that business or in that political arena who's being funded by these families, and let them know, hey, you need to stand up. Don't hide in the bushes. Don't keep supporting their UN agenda for their one world government. Don't keep funding all these things that they're doing. But the reality is on the Amway property, they have the Amway Grand. A lot of people don't realize that that hotel in years past used to be a Masonic temple, and a lot of things that get hidden and untalked about, and all these other type of stuff. But that city on the property is the Ford Foundation. They got Gerald Ford's grave up there, and he was very open to his Masonic background. And I always remember qualifying for an event and going up there and asking questions to people that I thought I was building a good business. I thought I was doing right, but every time I'd ask a question, they'd shut the door in my face and say, no, you can't talk about those things. And, it just took a little while for the Lord to build up inside of me to say, you know what? No, we are going to ask these questions. And, they that's their thing that they do, is they try to silence everybody. And those people who are in the business at the lower levels, they don't understand what they're doing. At first, they're just chasing money. Second,
Masons.
they're just chasing influence. Well,
same structure.
And from the business side of stuff, they've infiltrated all kinds of businesses all over the globe to infiltrate churches, school systems, businesses, foreign governments. And it is wild where that thing goes to around the world. And as you look at the Amway Grand, and then you look at the Amway Corporation right out front, that globe was a symbol they have in front of, in Ada, Michigan, a symbol to the world of what they were trying to basically accomplish. And as I looked at those things, I always asked these questions. But it was the day I took a walk to, they built, DeVos and Van Andel actually built basically the grave site for Gerald Ford, a 33rd degree Mason. And you look at that and you're like, wow. I actually remember online watching his ceremony and watching this stuff and seeing all these things that then God was showing me and going, wow, these guys they're not for America at all. Like, what are they doing? And then I remember walking upstairs and taking a look at they have a Oval Office, which I was always asking myself a question is, why did they build a Situation Room and Oval Office in the building? It's shaped in a pyramid on their own property. So you got to really start thinking about these things. These are just questions I had. It's like, were they going to use that for a nefarious purpose? An actual duplicate of the Oval Office in Grand Rapids, Michigan? Who needs that type of thing? I mean, how much does it cost to build an exact duplicate? What are they going to film movies there? Anyways, the point of that story is I woke up one day and I remember walking into this Amway facility, paid with Amway money, and seeing on the wall a 20 by 15 foot mural of Henry Kissinger. And I knew from previous health things that I had gone through that Henry Kissinger was not for America. Matter of fact, he was not for, I guess, anybody designed in the image of Christ. He was after the DNA of these people. And for years, has always talked about being able to manipulate people's DNA. He always talked about bioweapon warfare. He always talked about conquering countries and manipulating the gold system for the oil system to be able to have a debt slave system. And people don't understand what they were doing, but they enslaved mankind through the financial system. And Henry Kissinger was one of the lead people behind it, with the oil embargoes with Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, and behind every war, typically that we know of, who was the one man who seemed to be in every one of those war meetings. And
Kissinger.
Yep, exactly. So, anyways, it's just the topic of the day. People are probably rejoicing all over the globe that the wicked witch is dead, and its tentacles are going out there. You and I talked about this last time, though, is the Wizard of Oz, the Yellow Brick Road. Mm-hmm. Who's the person behind the curtain? Well, I would tell you, one of those people behind the curtain was this short man that seemed to have 9 lives, and but in today's world, that's a topic for those people to have to discuss. But I did notice this too. The Carter funeral happened a couple days ago, and I just happened to notice, it was very interesting that
a lot of people dying, aren't there?
All the presidential families were supposed to be there, and for whatever reason, George Bush was absent, and so was Barack Obama. So it's just a question.
Why?
Well, their calendars are probably public. Would imagine.
Yeah, you got to ask a question of why, right?
Exactly. And those are the things that we do is ask questions why. For anyone who asks questions, you know what? That's a person who's seeking knowledge, and you can't manipulate someone who's thinking for themselves. Taking propaganda from a television or a news channel and sucking on all that stuff for a long time, people start to wake up when they realize that they've been manipulated.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and put that. I'll put that picture up a minute. That I put that on my channel. The one. Let's see if I can get to it. This is Telegram is really hard to navigate while I'm online through this computer, and I don't know why. Anything else I can jump around there quickly, but this is kind of clunky. Oh yeah, here we go. Check this out. This is just, why would you, I don't know. Maybe it's, I think we should look at everything, but why would you have this here? Just weird. There you go. Amway Grand Plaza. And then when you start looking at this nonsense that they have around there, it starts making sense. The straight on view of this, it looks, it's just odd,
Well, there's topics in the world that they have hidden from not only the American people, but a lot of people. And these are hidden truths about Egypt. These are hidden truths about Israel. These are hidden truths about the Bible. Other books of the Bible that they've hidden from people, because they tell a story that allows people to be able to go to the next level. And these are things that a lot of people they're not willing to go there, because they did a really good job in the late 1800s, in the 1900s, of reestablishing what people were supposed to learn. And this could get into what people theory.
Lost Judah. Let's see if he comes back on. There you
are. Some people will get into these topics and they say, hey, this gets into conspiracy theory, right up to the point where you come out with a document, you come out with facts, and you have truth. And now your conspiracy theory is now truth.
Which takes about 10 minutes usually.
Yeah, typically for someone whose brain works. But there's a lot of people, they've been succumbed to the military-industrial complex, the CIA's mind control over what comes out through propaganda TV, and that whole thing is getting through that I guess that fog of what they've been sharing with us, because they've had their agenda for this, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, agenda to overtake what they wanted to do. But going back to this topic is, that picture there, that's a griffin. And if people don't understand, now who uses the griffin as a logo? You get into these topics and you go, okay, you got to ask yourselves why. You know, there was a post somewhere that said symbolism will be their downfall. That always stuck with me. I was like, that's interesting. Symbolism will be the downfall.
What do they have in the entryway of Amway and Ada there? You were telling me about the display they have there.
Oh gosh, I mean they're everywhere. You just gotta look around and find them. But in the main room there, they have it's the sunburst. Some people call it the sun god, but other people, they know it. And if you go into the Masonic teachings and understanding Isis and Horus and Osiris and all these topics, you'll come to realize that that's Baal worship. And Baal worship is straight up worship to Lucifer. And so this comes down to the foundations of the UN. Who started the UN? You and I had a great conversation about that. Mm-hmm. You know, get into these families that are supporting and funding the UN, and then the agendas around the globe. It's real quick and fast to see, you know, again, pulling on that thread, what they were trying to accomplish. So.
Yeah. And also how many people, let's talk about the board members on the UN that are on the Amway board, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so you go from the UN, you go to the World Economic Forum, you even go to the WHO. They're all interwoven. They all hire each other after they leave their board. They go to their board, and all of it was interwoven with, you know, the Ford Foundation, which is another arm of the UN, with the Rockefeller Foundation, which is all interwoven with the Ford Foundation, the UN, Amway, China, all these groups. You start looking into these things and you go, what is their main objective? And I go back to this, and George Bush said it clearly to all of us in the early 90s when he did his speech. He said, you know, he wanted to usher in the 1,000 points of light. I remember as a kid hearing that, going, what in the world is he talking about? Like, it just stuck with me. And I don't know why, for me, it stuck with me. But what's interesting in this pursuit, where we're starting to learn this, everywhere I go into meeting people like you, or we go to the events, we were down at the Trump a couple weeks ago down in Miami.
Well, it's very neat you, which was really nice.
Yeah. And other people too, they're like, wow, yeah, I was called because I heard that as well. And they asked questions in their younger years as well. And it's like, we're all part of this piece of the puzzle that's coming to bring this stuff to the, you know, to the table to explain to people. You know, people always ask me, so why does the Marriott, why does that company, why are they connected? Why are the Hiltons, why are the DeVos and Van Andels, why do they all have the same portrait of them standing side by side, mounted in their buildings? And you start to look at these things and you're like, wow, they all do have a very similar portrait. You got to ask yourself, well, what are they doing? What is the griffin? So now you got to go back to, you know, the Nazi days. You know, the eagle, the double-headed wing and double-headed eagle is a representation of the Nazi Reich. The lion, for them, in their interpretation, is the Rothschild family. So now you combine those two, right? The lion and the eagle. Now you get a griffin. Now, griffin, what is it in its Egyptian context? It's Horus. All these things have a fine, thin thread that go back to this ancient religion that they deal with in terms of Osiris. And I tell people all the time, I'm a Bible-believing faith Christian, and you go to talk about these things and your pastors literally will crawl up in a ball and hide and say, I'm not talking about this, la, 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 la. And either A, run you out of their church or kick you out of their church because they just don't understand, because they've never gone to wanting to educate themselves on something deeper than what maybe their theology was told.
Well, they're afraid to look at things and they're afraid to question things because, oh no, they might, insult somebody or hurt somebody's feelings for a few minutes. And that's really sad because we should be able to look at whatever it is we want to look at to find the truth. I think Jesus was very clear about that. Knock and the door shall open. You will be able to find the answers and you don't have to be afraid. God walks us through all these things, so it's a healthy thing to question what we're looking at. And that's really how we've gotten here. They've made it almost criminal to ask questions or question what they're doing. And then they bring in the conspiracy theory label and it shuts everybody down because nobody wants to look stupid instead of just jump in there and risk looking stupid and being wrong, but at least you ask the questions. And yeah. I think that's you got to lay your ego down and risk being wrong to find what you need to get to the truth. And it is what it is. I mean, they're going to continue putting us in keeping us in the dark here unless we do get more people that ask those questions.
Yeah. And even like, for example, in my situation, and listeners are listening to this audio today, I never asked to be in this situation. People go, well, what's your situation? Well, I built an Amway business for 22 years. I was successful in what I call building that business. And I loved my people. I thought I was doing a good thing, but I woke up. I woke up to what they were doing in terms of the manipulation, the amount of people who are not making money, the amount of people who are being silenced. I saw a lot of things were going on. And immediately on January the 7th, Betsy DeVos resigned from the Trump administration, and I asked a question because an entire group of people in my business were asking me the question because you know what? They're looking to me for support. They're looking for me to say, hey, do you agree with this? And I was like, no, like, well, why? Why is she doing this? And ultimately, I went to all of my, I guess you could call it upline or management or whatnot, and asked them questions. And immediately they said, hey, you are a conspiracy theorist. And as soon as they said that, I was like, oh, shoot, dog. These guys, they know more than they're supposed to know. And immediately they went to guns in terms of trying to ruin and destroy my credibility with my friends, my family, my people, the people that I was serving, trying to help, and immediately cut out my tongue. And I was like, wow. And then we got to this point where we had these long discussions about these topics, and I was trying to help. I was trying to help them get off this Titanic ship that literally is destruction and evil, that's funding, which is fact. And you get into these things that you go, hey, guys, we need to SOS. We're trying to save the country over here. We're trying to help our fellow man. And you guys are hiding in the bushes and watching, but you're going to now call me a conspiracy theorist? And then let alone, they went on a message calling me mentally ill. And I was like, wow, you guys aren't doctors. You're not allowed to do that.
Well, they just get to label everyone. That's what they're doing is labeling.
And they thought because they've done this this is one of their operations of how they deal with things to get rid of people is they do this. And people mainly fold. Well, I had gone through a major battle years prior in my health victories that, guess what? God strengthened me. He strengthened me and equipped me for this time to say, you know what? No, you will not run over me. And you know what? It felt like King Nebuchadnezzar telling me to bow. Hey, you're going to bow to me. You're going to worship me. And if you want to get your paycheck still, you're going to do as we tell you to do. And I was just like, no. So they threw me into the fire. And you know what? Immediately, all these scriptures come to mind and the teachings and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And gosh, God was walking with me every step of the way. And you know what? Everywhere I go, there's people coming out of the woodwork to say, you know what? I want to join you. I want to join you in this journey of being able to share people. And you know what? Put the spotlight on these cockroaches that are trying to destroy mankind. Not let alone just try to destroy the United States. They're trying to destroy the human genome of the DNA of every American. And they did it through the heart exploders. They did it through the DNA modifications, and they did it through building Pfizer plants. They did it through building Johnson & Johnson plants. They did it through every single thing that Dr. Francis Collins was hired to do. And people go, well, where did Dr. Francis Collins come into play? Well, he's the name that most people won't talk about. And even your congressmen, your senators, nobody will talk about his name because, you know what, he's on the forbidden name list of these bloodline families that they all try to hide and protect. And you know what? Let it out there. Let people know. Dig into these families, dig into these backgrounds, and tell the world, we're coming. We're coming. And not only us, that, you know what, God and his army is coming, because they're going to expose these people because they tried to get rid of God's people. And, you know, this is a great exodus that we're getting ready to witness and see. And it's just awesome. It's awesome to witness and testify the testimony that we're bringing to people today, because we said, you know what, we're not going to bow to these people. We're not going to bow to their Luciferian money systems that they're doing. And oh, hey, by the way, Amway signed up for the China banking system, which is pure tyranny. And I told my upline, I said, we're not signing up for that, because that's what silenced all the truckers in Canada, this hyper wallet, PayPal, CCP banking system. And guess what? If you're an Amway IBO out there, right now your checks go through China, and you need to say, you know what? Enough is enough. Stand up. Let's create some solutions. Let's create something new. Let's do something from a business standpoint that says, you know what? Let's glorify the kingdom and not the kingdom of darkness. And
Well,
so
this is shocking. So they're everything is going through China right now with them. That I think this is the thing that people have to realize is these people are infiltrators. That's what they do, is they infiltrate. They form alliances and they infiltrate. Now you told me something else, that they're tied in with Hillsdale, correct?
yeah, well, get into this. So, for example, what's the other college there in Michigan?
There's a bunch of them.
The DeVos and Van Andels have a large. It's right there near Ada, in Grand Rapids.
Is it Bible College there? Is it Reformed Bible College, or
No,
is it
they're known for they're known for the car sales. The colors are blue and white. The name's fleeting me at the moment.
Northwoods?
Yeah, Northwood.
The Northwoods Academy. Yeah.
So Northwood Academy, DeVos and Van Andels have dumped a lot of money into there. So now you got to look at, okay, who are the graduates from those universities? Where are they going to around the globe? What banking groups are they starting to work for? And you get in this whole thing, and you see these families now going from Northwood to working for BlackRock, to working for the UN, to working for the World Economic Forum, to working for Amway. Or, you know, then you see these people who, you know, XI comes into China, right? From China into California, San Francisco. And guess who's the first name on the list to have dinner with President XI and President Zhiden, right? We call Ivan calls Biden Zhiden, which is absolutely hilarious. But
that is hilarious.
They take a town in San Francisco that's ridden with homeless people who are searching and on drugs and just total destruction. And people for years were like, man, we need to help clean this up. This is a major problem. And Gavin Newsom doesn't even give them a time of day. And what's Gavin Newsom do? Again, another family member, part of this two-headed, two-winged, blue and red uniparty cult.
It is a cult. You are absolutely right. And they run the whole thing. There's about 40 families in the state of Michigan that are buying our entire elections. There's no working with these people. I keep listening to everybody trying to salvage this ridiculous party system, but they're working for the exact ones that are bringing down this entire planet, and that are manipulating things. They're buying elections. They're horrific. The globalists are murderers, cheats, thieves, extortionists are involved in racketeering, and it's just like the Masonic, the whole Masonic structure. I've said this for a long time. It's a cult. They vet people at the lower levels. If
Yep.
they find that they will do anything for power, money, or sit at the table, they got them right there. And then they can do other things that will further compromise them. But nobody at the lower levels are getting their hands around this until it's too late. And then they get into the blackmail. Once they get to a certain point, there's going to be blackmail, and there are going to be compromises that, if exposed, that's how these secret societies and secret organizations work, will take them down. And that's how they get the politicians in their pockets.
Yep. And you and I, we talked about this, but a lot of people don't know is that within the Masonic degrees, as you rise in power, you're given certain positions. A lot of these corporate CEOs or positions of major corporations, they've basically, they're given a lot of these positions, and they've done that through these secret orders. And people are like, oh, well, show me the money, show me this proof, show me all this other type of stuff. Well, guess what?
Don't you love it when people say that? Show me the money, show me the proof. It's like, I'm sorry, but I'm not here to babysit your sorry behind.
Yeah.
Do it yourself.
Do your own homework.
Do your own homework. I'm not here to spoon feed you. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and let's see if I can put this one up where the guy kisses the Talmud. And there's one video that I put up where the guy is literally kissing the Talmud in the Masonic. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's crazy. And you know what? I hate to say it, but this is when I was watching these videos on the Masonic thing. I'm sure it was making a lot of good friends there, right? I don't really care.
Well, the thing is a lot of the people, what they don't understand is it's not only a cult, but it's pure evil. You're taking on demons at each degree. And once you get to the separation of 32nd and 33rd, you're dying to man, and then man is raising you up to be your own God. These guys, these 33rd degrees, they basically, each one of them thinks that they're their own God, and that their poo-poo don't stink. But in the books, what happens is those hidden books that they're supposed to read as graduates, just like, for example, you go to college and you graduate, you have a curriculum and books that you're supposed to read. One of their books that they have to read is the Book of the Law by Aleister Crowley. Well, guess what? I'm telling you what, if you go through that stuff, it is absolutely disgusting to know what Aleister Crowley was all about. And you know what? The people in D.C., the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, every one of those people is a Scottish Rite. And so now you go through this and you go, that's what they've had to read. So that's the content in their mind. And then they read morals and dogma on top of that for their degree, which is Pike. And you go through this stuff, they have stated goals that they're there to raise the Antichrist and worship Lucifer. And these aren't like, hey, this is a conspiracy theory. No, the facts are there is when you highlight it and you read it, and you see those books actually sitting on the altar, which is their black rock in the temples. People don't comprehend and understand what that actually means. And so people got to go through and they dissect these things and go, oh man, you're off on a conspiracy world. No.
Yeah. Okay. So here's this nice little Dutch DeVos family here at DeVos. It says Perf Hall. I'm going to call it Perv Hall right now. And they've got it's the DeVos Perv Hall with the drag queen Christmas, and that was Tuesday. And I'm sorry, guys, but this is not okay. And this is absolute in your face to God Almighty and Jesus Christ, our Savior, who died a terrible death to be, to take on our punishment. And they're just saying, in your face, we're going to throw drag queens up and call it a drag queen Christmas. Anybody that is involved in this,
that's an abomination.
And buys their crap. This is not okay. This is a truly Christian family would not do this. And you see this, and they hide behind. So I'm going to be the first one to blow holes in the current Christian church. Jesus said at the end that it would be completely apostate. So is the Jewish religion. So is Islam. They have infiltrated everything.
And if you go into that, you talk about, so for example, all the churches around Grand Rapids are all of descendant and basically infiltrated and taken over by the Masonic groups to create from the Netherlands in the Dutch royal banking system what's called the Reformed Church. What is the Reformed Church? Well, that is basically putting walls on your Bible to say you're not allowed to look up anything else outside of these walls of the Bible, and we're going to alter it to our own version. And you're not allowed to talk about anything else, while their upper pastors are all paying dues, right? So these churches, out of your tithing, they're paying dues back to a larger conglomerate, corporate group, which actually takes us out. Do you remember the Crystal Cathedral out in California?
Yeah, Schuler.
So Robert Schuler, people don't even want to look into that whole mess. When that whole thing collapsed, actually, this was interesting. This is one of my first wake-up calls. In the Amway, one of the first books that we got that they said you were supposed to read. So Doug DeVos originally would say, hey, to all the Amway people, you need to read this book by Robert Schuler and the Crystal Cathedral and how we funded the Crystal Cathedral. And I was like,
oh, they funded it?
Oh yeah, they were the main donor family to break ground on opening the Crystal Cathedral, which people don't realize.
This is crazy because this goes back to watch how this money nonsense happens. Look at Oprah, for example. There's some real big questions that should be asked there because she was pushing John of God, not the God I worship. This guy got convicted in a court of law for keeping young women as breeders to harvest their children and sell them on the black market. He was convicted of this. And Oprah with her schools over there in Africa. Are you kidding me? This is how they do it. And they come out there just the nicest people ever because they know how to manipulate. Man, give me somebody who's really ornery, but that's telling me the truth on things. I don't care if there's mean tweets. I could care less. I want to hear the truth.
This goes back to what you were talking about. So they infiltrated the Christian structure and then started using it like a Hamas city where they're hiding behind children, basically. They use the church as a shield of light and distortion to basically try to infiltrate everything else for their New World Order. So now you get into Robert Schuler in the Crystal Cathedral and the new one world religion. So you get into looking at the structure of the building from the main part of the auditorium. It was a pure triangle in terms of their pyramid. You can see these pictures all over of the Crystal Cathedral. But what's interesting is that that structure, that church actually fell apart in terms of their congregation. And God's word says it all the time. Deuteronomy 28 talks about the curses and blessings. Well, what's interesting is that one of the curses is their whole family, unfortunately, completely fell apart. Their kids actually ratted out their dad for all the money laundering and all the stuff that they were doing. And, he departed with their children in terms of having bad relationships. Unfortunately, that was the ability for them to deal with the black magic and darkness that they were doing. And so that connects to basically, again, back to all these non-denominational churches, which are, I believe, in a good aspect of things. But there are maybe a couple bad ones, but the whole denominational churches, you get into the Baptists, you get into the Lutherans, you get into all these different sects that now are paying what are called apostle fees back to certain organizations, which all go back to, this is really interesting, they go back to the GOP. So you got to go, my gosh, what kind of structure is in place to where they're getting certain funding, certain churches are not allowed to speak up. And then it kicked off for a lot of us when COVID happened.
Sure
and
did me.
All these pastors, you're like, they went on themselves. You're like,
they were lap dogs. They shut their churches down and they sat in the corner in a fetal position. It was crazy.
I got some buddies walking in front of me.
Oh, cool.
Morning, guys.
Well, that's cool.
That's God's blessing right there.
Yeah, there you go. I love all the animals.
But yeah,
so let me throw this up here a minute, Judah, because I think people need to understand this. And it's only a couple minutes, so it's 5 minutes long, but I want to show people this, and then we're going to comment on the book that he's kissing, because I don't care what anybody says. We have to ask these questions, and nobody's above this. I don't care what religion, what you're at. We have got to get to the bottom of this, because they're using everything we trusted to tear us down. It gets louder in a minute.
Hey, that looks really Christian there, doesn't it?
Yeah, looks like a bunch of weirdos standing around. The half-naked guy looks like witchcraft.
Which it is. That's why they call it the craft. That's why the Orlando Magic basketball team is called the Magic.
Yeah, the sound on here is really, really quiet, but you can see it in the subtitles. And I believe you said that the book that they kiss is the Talmud.
Yeah, and they go through. There's the King James, the Quran, the Book of the Law, which is really instrumental in terms of the lodge, and then morals and dogma are needed in terms of the 32nd and 33rd degree rituals that they're actually performing here. It's disgusting. It has nothing to do with Christ. It has nothing to do with they say brotherhood. They're not brotherhoods. They're allowing demons to infiltrate them, and at some point, literally, you have to do basically, an exorcism or a demonic abilities to be able to pull these people out of this. But once they're gone, they're gone. I mean, if someone's willing to try to say, "Hey, I want out," guess what? I'll say this: you can get out. Don't believe the lies of the devil who say, you know what, you can't speak, or they're going to cut your throat, or they're going to kill you. Those are all fear. Fear is belief in the evidence of things unseen. Faith is belief in the evidence of things unseen. Let's have faith to know that, you know what, you can step out of it. You can step out of this and walk back in the light. There's people, there's Freemasons that come out of this cult all the time.
Yeah, I had somebody years ago tell me that he was a lower level Freemason, and he said that there's two people that told me about it. One of them said that they hit him on the back of the head with something, and they said they know how to do that and they said they went right down on the ground, and then it's like a mock death. They always do these mock deaths, I think, at every level. And then somebody else told me that he said they laid their hands on him or something, and they said he went right down to his knees, and he said, I could not move. He said, I couldn't believe it. He said, I literally could not move. And I'm like, well, sounds pretty demonic to me, I don't think God, but I've seen this in the churches. There was a church that I went to years ago, which I not only left, but they asked me never to come back again because there he goes. He's kissing the Talmud right there. There you go. There's your Masons. I'm sure we're making lots of friends here on this. Guy's channel on Telegram is Kyle Undercover, and I think it's you know, I think he does a pretty good job. He's gutsy enough to go undercover for this, but it's
and I would commend Kyle. I would say, hey, good job, brother. Good job for going out there and being able to say, hey, those are things that need to be told. And, you know, like they said for Epstein Island, the problem was they allowed cameras in.
Yeah.
You know, the NSA got a hold of all that stuff. And so what a blessing Admiral Rogers had enough guts. I
love that guy. He is so inspiring. He came to President Trump and warned him in Trump Tower, and he took him in. I think they went to Bedford and told him exactly what was going on. And I love Admiral Rogers. I think God bless him. God bless him. God bless General Flynn and President Trump and all the brave people that stood before. And President Trump, the rightful president of the United States. I'm going to say it as many times as I have breath in my body, because it was these kind of weirdos that are out there doing this Masonic nonsense and the secret society thing, the crap going on in the CIA, including creating Hamas and Hezbollah and such. So
ISIS
gotta think about this. And ISIS was McCain.
Yeah, and ISIS is also, again, going back to these Egyptian gods that they worship, Osiris, Isis, and Horus. ISIS was used, and that's why they use the Quran to help for their ability to try to destroy the United States by creating division. It's all in the Morals and Dogma book by Pike. He explains how and exactly what they were trying to do and how they're going to use ISIS to do it. It's absolutely wild. And to think that book is written in the late 1800s. You get in this whole topic, and he wrote it in green ink, which is just, again, weird, right?
Why green ink? Okay, I don't know the symbolism.
Yeah, it's just it has to do with the Green Man. It has to do with Luciferian occult.
What's the Green Man? I'm out of the loop on this one.
That's just another name for Lucifer.
Oh, the Green Man is?
Yeah.
Okay, so
they use it in Hollywood and a lot of their movies.
Green Hornet.
Yep, there's a lot of the topics they put in there, but if you go into Hollywood and you start looking into all the different things that are in there, these terms and languages, they're all designed for the Illuminati cult. These brainwashing. They're brainwashing, but it's all part of their black magic. So again, it's not for us to understand per se, as much as it's what they believe.
Well, you got to see the threat too, so that they don't like rope and gag you and have you down the road, you know, before you even know it. That's the strength of looking at things that maybe people don't want to look at. You know, like we've got this human trafficking summit coming up with General Flynn over here in Sterling Heights, Michigan, and a lot of people are uncomfortable. What's that?
What's the date on that again for your viewers?
December 8 and 9. It's in Sterling Heights. And you can go to americasfuture.net and you can sign up there. And so all of my buddies are going to be there. And I think I'm going to be coming in on Saturday. I thought I was going to come in Friday night, but I ended up having another event. I'm going to try to squeak them both in that weekend. But everybody needs to be able to look at it. I mean, think about this. If we don't face these things, who's going to? Sure as heck isn't going to be them. It ain't going to be the DeVosses. They're going to run like the little rats they are, attacking the rightful president of the United States, President Trump, and funding the true rat Pence to $22 million. You know, it's like, look at these people. They're disgusting. They're despicable. And what they've done to this nation should be ashamed of them. And it's all over the dollar and these horrific practices, because they think they're better than us. They think they are descended from the gods. They're descended from Satan himself.
Well, going back into this, and the Zionists and the Masonic groups, they call us Goyim.
Yeah.
Which really, is an ultimate insult to think, hey, you know what? and this really gets into some interesting topics too regarding their ancient religions of their Baal worship. But like, they look at us as goyim because they're not of our descent. So we're brothers and sisters in Christ. God's DNA runs through us, right? You know, it even says in our DNA, if you stretch it out, it says Yahweh. But they hate that so much to the point where they want to say, hey, they want to change it. And the reason why they want to change it, this gets into, again, the Osiris topic, which is hard to comprehend. It's what they believe, not what we believe. But they're descendants of the Cain families. So
Well,
that
think about this. Cain and Abel, put the two words together. They're a bunch of friggin' cannibals. Look at what they're doing. And, you know, I think this is something that's worthy to talk about when you look into the adrenochrome and the blood and all that sort of thing. It's for real. I have a friend that was at a party and somebody stabbed him with a needle with adrenochrome in it. And it was an intentional attack. Of course, it was one of those things that really lit his fire because he didn't know what was going on. He was a kid. And it was, you know, this stuff is for real. These people are absolutely evil. And I don't care what label they come under, you know, and if we don't look at it, we're not gonna know. It's like the Nazis. NA stands for Socialist Party at that time. ZI was the Zionist. So when they joined, it was the Zionists that joined with the Socialist Party in Germany, and they killed true Jewish people, true Christians, gypsies, anyone that came against them. These people are evil. They're just descended from some Egyptian sun god. No, you're descended from hell. And where they came from, they're going to go right back there again for the attacks that they've made on God's people, on God's creation. And I got this feeling that God is getting sick of it. Here's one more thing about Amway. Somebody brought this up in the quote system or the chat, is that their uncle worked for Amway back in the 70s. They run a pyramid scheme. Think about this.
It's a money laundering scheme is what it is.
Yeah, but it's in the shape of a pyramid. You know, they've got, you know, and so, I mean, that's how they do it. It's a pyramid scheme. So, yep, there you go. But yeah, it's kind of a shocking thing. And the thing of it is it's, you know, we have been living with this nonsense for so long. People are conditioned not to question it. And if we do question, oh no, what did they say? Did they dare to question this? Oh, they're just going off and you know, on you know, some tangent. No, I'm pretty much extra sure that people that question are not. And look where we've gotten because we haven't questioned it. We haven't held people accountable. And we've got this two-tier. Not only do we have a two-tier justice system, political system that attacks its own, a cult that will attack anyone that challenges their structure. We have a personal two-tier system, and God talked about not being a respecter of persons. We have to only, you know, we shouldn't have this. We should all be equal. We should all be equal. It's not that, oh, we have these people that we think are better than us in politics or Hollywood or anything like that. Why are they more important than anyone? Why is it the dog catcher, and I'm going to use this again, can't run to be president of the United States? Because they don't want us there, because they've already parted us out as worthless feeders and as people that are lower, less than them.
Well, here's a really great image to leave with people, is to go back and watch President Trump do his address. And if you zoom into his coat, at what point was the change made from president to commander-in-chief? So now you get into commander-in-chief. What does that represent? Well, that has to represent a few things about about DC, because the old establishment has been replaced. The British Royal Crown, that banking system that was basically the United States was in debt to after the Civil War, that group has been relinquished. So now you get into commander-in-chief versus President Jeton, who's in the DC area or whatever it is. We're dealing with the duel of two presidents or commander in chief versus a president of a bankrupt corporation. And this topic now came into so clear. And that was this, is that Gerald Ford aircraft carrier, that whole thing is all encompassing in symbolism of the military industrial complex, right? And President Trump went in there and he wore a coat that said Commander in Chief on the coat. And then he put on the hat of the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier. In terms of the calmer communication I got from that was, sorry, boys, I'm taking over. And from that day forward, all the people went in total panic because they were like, oh, crap. He knows about where all the bodies are buried. He knows about the military industrial complex. He knows what's happening, and he's taking over. And the old guard is on its way out, and he stepped in. And so these are things you gotta look at, these slight little symbolisms that he tells people without having to say much at all. And I love listening to every one of his speeches because he always drops a nugget. And people are like, oh, what are you talking about? He always drops a little nugget about something, whether it's a mask or whether it's buy gold and silver, or to say, hey, make sure you're just prepared for these transitions. And I love when he said Hillary is we can no longer use that word anymore because I don't like to use it on masks and things like that. You just got to get a chuckle out of stuff because they're telling us if you're paying attention.
They sure are. It's just like looking at fake Biden there. I'm so sure the guy's 80 years old and he falls up the stairs to get on an airplane and jumps up like a freaking gazelle, out in the Serengeti. And it's like there's no way. I mean, we really need to think these things through and pay attention and trust ourselves to have observation. God will talk to us and he tells us what's going on. But you got to trust yourself. Don't trust what you see or what you hear. Trust yourself. Trust God. God will guide us through every situation out there. He is faithful. He is good. When you turn to God and you ask him, he is faithful to help you in whatever it is that you're up against. And that's what he wanted in the first place, is a relationship with us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I gotta get hard stop. I gotta get going here, but
all right.
I will say this, is that for anyone who is listening, if you're involved in that, say, group of people or businesses or whatnot, be the lion. Step out, ask the questions, say something. And I'll tell everybody who's part of what's called the IDOA board. This is the board that runs Amway. Every single one of you guys knows who's going to step out and be the hero. Who's going to step out and say, you know what? I stand for Christ. I'm going to stand up. I'm not going to let fear control me. And you guys know who took the payments. You guys know what blackmail and greenmail is. They have the proof, guys. It's time for you to step out. It's time for you to be the voice of truth. And praise God. But let's close this in prayer if you can.
Sure, absolutely. And those are the same guys that are on the UN board, aren't they?
Not that particular group, but the group that's above them. They're the ones that oversee what they're doing. So they're kind of just, appeasing the people. And, ultimately, you bring something to their attention. They say, well, hey, I'm going to run this by them and try to get it approved and do whatever. They're just appeasing people. While on the back end, they're signing the deals to do banking with China and turn everybody's income over when they know exactly what they're doing, because financially they're paid to be silent about it. And
they're funding the Republican Party.
Well, they're
using our politics.
The Rhino GOP people that they installed to go with their one world agenda, which really, so even all those people follow the money, guys. They followed all your transactions. They know who's funding the people who are trying to fund gun control and gun bans. They know all this stuff. They know the houses, guys. They know the airplanes. They know the the other things that they've used as payoffs. They know the business transactions for different corporations. They know the insider trading that people are doing because, you know what, they're on a board and they're following the transactions that you're doing. Guys, the gig is up. The gig is up. And people have to go, you know what? Hey, wash your hands. Here's the great thing about Christ. He is willing to forgive and love and move forward, but you got to make a decision. You got to pick a lane.
Yep. Choose this day whom you will serve.
Exactly.
There's no middle ground there. So why don't you go ahead and say a prayer? I'm going to say a prayer for the next hour, but go ahead, and then you can get on to your meeting.
All right, Donna. To all the people listening, to all the ears, we thank you, Father. Thank you for your grace. Thank you, Lord, for your blessing. Thank you for the eyes to see and ears to hear. Those people near and far that, you know what, they're drawn to this program. They're drawn to your truth to be able to go out and do their own homework, their own research. We thank you, Father, for blessing our country. Thank you for those people who are rising up and standing with the righteousness, the sword of truth. Thank you, Father, that, you know what, you are the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. You know what's happening. And you thank, you know, for those people who've been called. They've been called for your glory, for this time in this country right now, to be able to rise up again, like our founding fathers in the beginning of our country, where people came to say, you know what, we're going to stand for something right, and restoring our nation, restoring it, looking at a beautiful picture that's founded in you, Father. And we thank you, Christ, for what you've done. We watch over, we guide everybody. Thank you in terms of what they're doing. We thank you for Donna in terms of everything she's doing, for the people that she's reaching. Bless her family, Father, and coming in and going out. And we're just so thankful. We're thankful for the joy that we have. And we thank you for the divine health that we all have because we stand in your word. And we glorify you and give you all the credit and honor. In the mighty name of Yeshua Christ Jesus, amen.
Jesus, amen. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for coming in. Let's do this again. We've got more stuff to talk about because we get offline and it's like hours, you know.
Our offline conversations are blowing people's minds at the NSA.
I'm sure we are. gotta kick a few bees nests there. So you have a great day. And next on is Holly and Alexa from Michigan Red Pilled Michigan. And I'm kind of excited about this. This is individuals that decided to step forward and just do what they knew needed to be done to get good candidates on the ballot. And I just want to say thank you to them. I'm hoping that you can meet them at some point in time. So have a great day.
I'm jumping on tomorrow. I'm not going to miss Dave Summerall because that guy is a stud. And thank God he was one of the guys who decided to stand up and fight. And things that they're doing. So get that message out tomorrow. People need to hear Dave Summerall and you guys talk. And the fact that he's coming on with you, that is so awesome. And awesome that cool. We got to get more of the videos out from, the 40,000 hours. We need the other 4,000 hours, which I'm sure he'll talk about. But you know what? It's just it's so great. The people who were there that day, they were called.
Yes.
For this point in time, which is awesome.
Awesome. Have a great day. And I'm going to take a real quick break and we'll be right back.
See ya.
Good morning. Welcome to the second hour of Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg, and I want to welcome my next guests on, and that would be Holly DeBoer and Alexa. And I think I say your last name. Is it Ott or Ote?
Otte.
Otte. Okay, well, I was close. So welcome. I'm so glad to have you gals on here today. I want to show your website here a minute and then have you tell your story. So anybody that wants to look this up right now, it's redpilledmi.org. And they're joining in the fight to help constitutional, I like that word, constitutional or candidates who are focused on the Constitution and getting this nation back on the rails, because we know it's completely off the rails. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. So tell everybody your story. How did you get involved in this? And what's your event coming up?
I'll let you go, Holly.
Do you want me to go?
Sure. Holly, you go first. Because we'll go in reading order.
How it kind of started for Alexa and I was we were volunteers together, Kent County GOP, and we were on the events and fundraising committee, working to raise money through events. And we were working on a really big event and coming up on a lot of different, I guess, roles and hits and, slowdowns and watching cement harden in different areas. And they ended up canceling the event. And we didn't want that to happen. We had put a lot of good time into it, and we had a lot of group of volunteers that wanted to see it succeed. So we decided that we wanted the event to continue on. And we actually had 2 other PACs that were willing to pick us up. And one of them was actually working on getting their stuff up and running, and they were hitting some delays and snags. And so Alexa and I said, we need to do this ourselves, because now we're at that point of hitting the cement, watching the cement harden again. And we didn't want to do that. We knew time was of the essence. And so what we did is we filed, and we had a lot of people come alongside helping us. We've never done this before. And we launched it, and a great, awesome group of volunteers that came alongside us immediately. And so we are launching our event. Our first event ever is coming through from, a lot of it is from ideas that we had before. And we wanted to make sure we crossed the finish line on this. We had said before, we never missed a target, and we weren't about to miss this one. So that's how we got started.
So here's the event flyer on your website. I'm going to be going to that. I've already committed to that data to go to that event. And so, yeah, I like your graphics, by the way. It's very fun, and it looks celebratory. So it looks a lot of fun. So we're going to have Ian Smith is going to be there. And for those that are not familiar with Ian, he refused to shut his gym down, and has had a crazy amount of persecution for it, or he did, but he stood up and he didn't back down. And I mean, this is where we are in this entire nation. We cannot back down. And I don't know if you heard before, but I've been frying the Republican Party in Michigan pretty hard right now, because anyone, and I'm right out there, it's like, I'm sorry, nobody else is talking about the finances that Christina Caramo has done a spectacular job refusing to come forward with that. And not only that, just the amount of felons that are sitting in the seats. What are you going to expect out of an organization that is clearly seems to be bent on tearing the Republican Party down in the state of Michigan? I mean, they lost the last election spectacularly, and that was you can go right back to what we're talking about with DeVos's funding Tudor Dixon, whose dad was a globalist. Just look into it a little bit, and then all of a sudden at the last minute, oops, we're going to pull the football away, just like Lucy did, because they knew what they were doing. They were doing this right from the beginning. And it looks to me that they kind of pulled the same nonsense on you guys, who are truly just really wonderful patriots. And not only did they not help you, it appears to me that they kind of try to sabotage things just a little bit. How close to right am I?
Alexa?
Okay, you don't have to answer that. I'll answer it for you, because I don't have to have anybody tell me anything. You can look at things and see exactly what's happening. And it's the Republican Party that from what I could see, has been sabotaging these 2 wonderful ladies' events and efforts in order to actually get good candidates in place. And this is the first time I've talked to them in person. Nobody pays me to say anything, and nor have they influenced my thinking whatsoever. In fact, I reached out to them and asked them to come on a couple of days ago. So these opinions are all my own, without any influence, without any money. I don't take money for anything. This is all freely done on my own will and my opinion. And the Republican Party of Michigan is nothing but a cult. And if anybody steps outside of what they have planned, they're gonna get their feet cut right out from underneath them. So that's why I had you on here today, because it's like I've watched this little goat rodeo that they've had going on for a while, and instead of being there to support people who are willing to put themselves in out there in front to lead a charge on something that they believe in, they want to control it and stop people unless you are lockstep with their little commie method out there. And I'm going to say it again. This thing has turned into such a cult, and I believed in it. There was a time that I believed that things could get done that way. Nope, not anymore. I'm done with it. It has really turned into something that's very negative, and and the DeVosses are involved in this, guys. And so, and I think from what we were just talking about, people need to ask themselves a real question. Are they part of a cult, or are they thinking for themselves? And I'm gonna continue to talk about your event, because I support anyone that has the initiative to take things on by themselves and try to right this nation, which is exactly what you've done. So bravo, yay! I'm so thankful for you gals.
Well, we just want to kind of come on to and just let people know that we can't wait around to be rescued. Our state of Michigan is in a position of we need dire new leadership. We need constitutional leadership with biblical values. It's been infiltrated all around from, in our businesses and our schools and everything else. And so for us, we wanted to take a stand and show, be there to pave the way for the next generations. I mean, Alexa has young kids. I have young grandkids, and we want to make sure the future for them was brighter than when we're here, that we can kind of uncover this and, kind of scoop it out, really. But nobody's coming to rescue us. We, the people of Michigan, have to rise up. We can't sit down and wait for the next person. It's, a lot of people have said, I don't have time. Yes, you do have time. You have time to hit a donate button. You have time to go to an event. You have time to make a phone call. You do have time. And it's
time to pass links.
You don't have time to complain. You can't stand around and complain, right? Yeah. And so you need to get involved. I mean, Alexa and I are new to the political scene, and we don't understand all the ins and outs, and we're learning, we're going to school really hard and really fast with this, but we are being surrounded by people who understand and want to come alongside of us and teach us and make sure that we have the proper tools in place to keep this fight. We have referred to this as Gideon's Army. I was talking to a former our friend that Donna, you and I have in common, and saying to her that it is Gideon's Army right now. It started off probably 10,000 strong, and it's getting whittled down. But the 300 that we're going to end up with will still accomplish the goal and cross the finish line. We're here to hold the line. We're here to ensure that nobody is going to tell us otherwise. What we're seeing of all the things that were happening, we know what the truth is, and we're going to keep just busting through until we can do it. And this event is one of those platforms. People are afraid to give their money to other organizations in our state, and because of that, we're patriots, and we don't have any other tendencies except for to raise money for good constitutional Michigan leaders and get people elected. And we're aligning ourselves with good people. We've been on the phone with people who have been kicked off of Karamo's team, right? And what better way to grab some of these people and to help and glean from them and have them come alongside and help us to push through. And if we're the first ones to push through this dome that we've been trapped under here in Michigan, and we can start pulling others through it, that's how it's going to be. It's we the people. it's going to be we the people that are going to be able to do this. So
Yeah, I think it's great, and I'm really really proud that you guys have stepped up, because somebody has to do this in a non-party way. And this is one of the biggest problems, is they really the way that's working right now, and both President Washington and Adams warned us about these political parties. Right now, all we have are special interests that are being funded, heavily funded, by those people that are attacking the United States of America. So I would tell everybody too, I'm like, keep your money, keep your money and put it into the candidates. And I think we can see the trend here with what Warren Carpenter was talking about, with that he was exposing for what the MIGOP did with the money that was should have been put out there, that the money that people paid for the hotel rooms in September was going to take away from what they could actually use to fund candidates. Now that seems kind of subversive to me. Going to keep the money away from candidates, and so it's just another way to tank a candidate that would be a good candidate and have control of it. I mean, you don't have to be too bright to figure this out with what's going on there. And I think that, and in case anybody's wondering, if I didn't think these gals were doing a good job, I'd be the first to fry them. And so, I really want to tell you that there's got to be a mechanism here to help good candidates. And I don't care who it is. I believe that anyone should be able to run for president. The system that we have right now is, unless you're part of these cartels, these political cartels, you're going to get knocked out. It's like, I was at the Attorney General's office this week, because we have 3 people with 27 felonies against them in the Attorney General's office. And so I was talking to the prosecutors, and I'm like, this nonsense, this political nonsense we have, if you get in like I did, I had no connections. And I mean, talk about being in a fast track of learning things, hold my beer, because it's been a crazy thing. I approached it as a business owner, and to get in here and try to ferret your way through all of these liars, cheats, and thieves. I mean, you're sorting through this full time. It's like being in a game of Frogger. You're just kind of like moving across, and every time, there's a car that's ready to smash you on the road there. And it's a tough go, but anything that I can do to help you, just let me know. So I'm going to give everybody a job here today, just like I did yesterday with Dana and May from Oregon, to rate Justice Kavanaugh about what they're doing with pro se. So the job for today, guys, is this. We're going to go to Red Pill, Michigan, and we've got this upcoming event here, and let's see what we've got. See, this is the other thing. Check this out. Okay, just check this out. They don't have the beg button at the top. Every other site up there has the donate and great big neon letters up here, the beg button. No. These gals actually put out content first to earn your attention. See, it's different, right? And here you go. You can purchase your tickets there, and please come up to us at this event. And this is going to be at Thousand Oaks, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Thousand Oaks. And if you go down, there should be videos for Ian Smith about how he stood up for his gym and defied the governor there.
Which one is your favorite video out of these two? You like the Tucker one or the other one?
I like the Tucker one. The Glenn Beck one's shorter. But
how can you watch Tucker?
All right, so Glenn Beck is cool. So is Tucker.
Oh, and I love Glenn Beck too.
The overflow
Just
of
to
our
see.
hospitals, and to allow us to meet the demands caused by this global pandemic, including the ventilators. And a permanent shutdown was really never an option in terms of what we're doing right now. This would be completely unsustainable, produce debilitating economic fallback, and lead to catastrophic public health consequences. There are consequences to shutdowns.
That was President, of course, at his coronavirus press briefing today. Fox News medical correspondent Mark Siegel is on his way to Washington tonight. We're sending him to the White House. He's going to interview the president about what the administration is doing to contain the Wuhan.
Okay, we're going to move this forward, see if I can get.
there we go.
Yeah, we're going to move this forward just a little bit more and see if we can.
Okay. This should be his gym. I'll find a new link. It goes right
Thank you
there.
so much for coming on. So
Thanks for having
the
me, Tucker.
state is trying to shut you down. Is there, first to the science, is there evidence that your gym has been a vector for a hotbed of the spread of coronavirus?
We have record of every single person who has stepped foot, and the total number of check-ins well exceeding the thousands. Not a single case has been reported so far, and we've kept detailed record of that all the way through.
Okay. So, and I mean this literally, you would have been better off joining a mob of rioters torching other people's businesses than you are responsibly following the science and trying to keep Belmar, New Jersey healthy.
There you go. So he followed the science, which he didn't have to do because it was entirely unconstitutional, but he kept his gym open. So I think this is going to be a great guy to talk to. So I've got another question for you. So this is going to be directly to Holly. Why did you get involved in this, and what is your background that uniquely qualifies you or gives you special talents? Because I do believe that God, I believe, Alexa, I believe you're a homeschool mom. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. I am.
Okay. So that's the tough free thinkers right there. I homeschooled my kids. And so you've got to have a specialness about you for that. And Holly, what's your background? And let's talk about how God uniquely gifted you and your experience, because God gives us all experiences to bring us to the point where we are when we do take action, and then he equips us to carry that forward.
Well, exactly. So I own a small business in the events industry, hospitality industry, and I do tablescape designs. And that was one of the things I brought to the team. The first team that we were on was like, I can make the events look cool. If you want to use the product, like we'll donate it and kind of, dress the tables and roll the red carpet out for the guests. And through that, I went through similar with Ian. I didn't go through as hard as he did, but my small business, we got, hospitality industry got shut down during COVID, and we didn't shut down. In fact, we got access to move into a church during COVID. President Trump, bless his heart, churches were exempt during this time. A friend of mine let us know we can move into a church, and we moved our stuff into a church, and so we could keep going. Of course, a lot of people left us because brides weren't able to go into venues and different things. So for me, it's the hospitality end of it. I also am I'm on the board of education as well too. And so my passion for serving others is one of my gifts that I love. I would rather take care of other people and to make sure that we're doing what is right by them. It's, and it's something I love to do. I love the getting in the gritty of, walking alongside of people and helping others out. But dressing tables is probably the thing that I love to do. That's a gift that God has given me. Maybe the gift of gab too much too. And also when people tell me, you can't do that or whatever, that's a challenge for me to say, yes, we can. So, and then Alexa helps us keep in the boundaries of what the rules are with that. So I make sure I don't go out of my safe zone there with that. But yeah, so that's what I kind of do right now with the wedding industry, the hospitality business is dress tables. So
that's cool. How about you, Alexa?
So my kids, before I homeschooled, they were at Grand Rapids Public at one of the Montessoris. And Montessori hadn't been as leftish as the public schools are. But then a couple of years ago, I started to see things. So then I started going to the school board meetings and going to all these other meetings around town and trying to figure out, okay, what can we do? And I became a precinct delegate. I was elected in 2022. So my goal is to show my kids that we need to stand up. And if I'm not doing it, how can I teach them to do it? So I became a precinct delegate, went to the conventions, I became the secretary for events and fundraising for Kent GOP, met Holly, and so many great volunteers. And then it all just kind of moved on. We had our spring event, and that went really well, and things kind of changed over the summer. And now here, Holly and I and our awesome volunteers getting ready for our event in a couple weeks.
That's really, really cool. You know, we have to be able to be willing to jump in sometimes to fix things, even if it's not a comfortable place to be in, and or to redirect if things aren't going well. And you know, hopefully, honestly, hopefully you kind of hand a little bit of a spanking, let's call it that way, to the GOP leadership right now. You know, it's like either support people that want to do something, you know, or get out of the way, guys, you know, and this is all about, this should not be a top down, you know, the pyramid. It should not be a top down organization. It should be, you know, the people need to be determining how the state is run, and anyone that's willing to step forward to do something on their own, I just seriously, hats off to you. That's very cool. So tell us more about the event. What's it gonna look like, and what preparations have you already made?
Well, first of all, we have to give a shout out to our awesome volunteers and fellow patriots that have come alongside of us. We could not have done this without somebody knows how to do IT. Somebody knows how to do the campaign financing. Somebody knows how to do, you know, flyers and, you know, graphics for us, and putting together items. We've been putting together auction items for the last week, and getting great donations from all over area businesses and people who wanted to help. The event, what it's going to look like is we have, of course, Ian Smith, awesome patriot, fighter for the truth, and knowing what his rights were during that lockdown. And we just applaud him in just how he just took charge and became a leader in the community. And everybody, as soon as you hear when we say Ian Smith's coming, we're like the gym owner. We don't even finish the sentence, and people are like, yes, the guy from New Jersey. And so they know who it is. We have a Trump impersonator coming, which we're super happy about. We need to add a little comic relief, you know, to the time. But hey, you know, if President Trump could show up to this, we would take him as well. You know, is
this the guy that like will stand next to President Trump and do like in the impersonations of him?
No, this is a guy out of Chicago who
really.
Yeah, he actually is an actor, and he does the voice and he dresses like him. So, you know, for your photo ops, we would have loved to have Captain Deplorable, but I think he was busy at that time, you know, our time frame that we had to move it to. But love Sean.
A new talent.
Yeah, and then we have, of course, Michigan's Justin Barclay is emceeing for us for the evening, and I think he just had Ian on yesterday. They did a taping, so that's going to be coming up. Ian's traveling right now and moving some stuff, so he's on the road. But so we're super excited about Justin being our MC. He's been just a true patriot, you know, showing the truth, you know, unveiling the truth on his radio show. And so it's been really, really cool to have him come alongside of us. And we feel like we've got some big heavy hitters for this event. We also have a couple of other things that are going on that, you know, would probably ruin it if, you know, if we let the cat out of the bag for different things. But we're super excited about the event, start to finish, and just really grateful for even just people who are just surrounding us in prayer, who are surrounding us in support, and, you know, kind of coming together to make sure that this event crosses the finish line. We have 7 days for ticket sales right now. So
Thursday.
Please click the link and, you know, get on there and buy your ticket. And we have people who are buying tables right now, and they can't be there, but they're buying a whole table. And then they're donating it to, we have one table that's going to be veterans there, which is super cool because we actually have a veteran that is going to be speaking for 3 to 4 minutes on the historical point of where we were during Gettysburg, where we are now, and what the future looks like for Michigan. So we're really super excited that he'll be get to sit at that table that somebody was willing to purchase for us and kind of, push through. And I surrounded ourselves with, with love and support really is what's going on right now. So we're very grateful for that.
Awesome. Well, everybody go out there and let's repost this, their link to this, to their website with including their event. So I know everybody out there has got a whole bunch of groups that they're involved on say Telegram, and we can post it to Twitter. We can get it out there in social media, and let's see how if we can actually be some support to these gals and help them get the job done. I mean, if we can get good candidates into office where there is a structure for people to have a little support instead of just kind of being out there on their own, it would be very, very helpful. And it sounds like fun. Well, I'm looking forward to going. I really am. I'm going to bring Karen on in a minute, and I bet she's going to have some questions for you. Hey, Karen, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Good, thanks.
So I thought maybe you'd have some questions for him, Karen. You always have good questions.
Well, I don't know. I'm curious. What stands out to you as why you are doing the things that you are doing compared to the things that other people in the GOP are doing?
Well, the GOP, just in general, in Michigan, Christina Caramo got rid of the events committee last Friday, that email came out. So they're not doing events. The Kent GOP, they just have their Christmas. We just have their Christmas party coming up. The other events were canceled. So there isn't money coming in to help support these candidates. So thinking back, like 2022, getting ready for that election, my yard was covered in yard signs. And I was able to go down to the office in downtown Grand Rapids and just pick those up. That's not going to be available unless we make changes. So we need to help support those people. We need to get good people elected. We need to keep the people that we have, or the positions that are on the right, in the right. And in order to do that, we need money, or they need money. The candidates need money.
Well, and Karen too, when I ran for school board, I couldn't do it without the support of the PAC that picked me up. There's no way I would have been able to. I mean, we were hearing about candidates spending $8,000, $10,000 just to go through of their own money. And there's a difference when the community comes together, even if it's $1 or $5 or $10, how much faster that actually built up to promote, candidates to get across the finish line. I too had signs in my yard as well, and picking things up and realizing now when Alexa and I are running this event, what things cost, and realizing how we have to, choose between this flyer, that flyer, sending it out digitally, and are people looking at it or coming on, like even Donna's show right now. It's the incredible support that we're having with that. That some of this stuff, like with the money going to the signs and then the ads and different things, it's just not going to be there with that. We're watching good patriots such as Warren and Danny and Lois and Andy get booted out of positions that they were doing this. And that's why they got into this to fight. And that's why we are doing this, is we want to make sure that we weren't, like I referred to it as, we were watching cement harden over here and it wasn't moving fast enough. And meanwhile, it's almost December to earn the money that we needed to. I mean, how many days away are we from the election? And so just trying to get that stirred up. And we know Michigan's a key state. We know that. And we've been watching all of this stuff happen to lock us down, basically, and tie us financially. And we were like, yeah, not on our watch. We're not doing that. So that's what we needed to do and kind of push through. And it's so important for people just to get out there. And even if it's a financial or phone calls or whatever, that everybody can contribute. We the people have way more power than we realize. Way more collectively, how much power that we have to overthrow what we've been trapped underneath on this state. So it's pretty awesome. We can't do this without without fellow Michiganders. That's for sure.
Hey, she said it, Karen. She said it. Michigander. Yeah. The term of the day is Michigander, and Holly gets the prize right there. It's like saying, Donna, you're
Donna
right.
and I have a little
You're right.
debate about that. It's Michiganian historically,
Donna,
so I
it's
stick
Gander.
to it, and she prefers Gander. So anyway,
I just wanted to fight right there because you said Gander. That was great. Friendly fire. Boom.
There you go.
so you ladies are bringing out one of the problems that Donna and I have talked about a number of times, that money shouldn't be a factor in this, and it just shouldn't be, because you're making this point very strongly that good candidates should not be washed out of a campaign. And by campaign, I mean they're running. We typically think of campaigning as a monetary equals marketing scheme. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Donna's made it very clear, and I looked at the finances reported, at least on one website, of where was the money coming from for her campaign funding. And it was coming from Donna chiefly, and then from her grassroots supporters. And I mean that term legitimately in her case. It was not from any kind of other entity, spending a lot of money that they knew they could direct her actions later on. She didn't have that.
The Republican Party absolutely wouldn't even include me in their events, let alone even speak my name. I mean, that was like the name that shall not be spoken. Don't want to mention Brandenburg. So not only did they not support me, they never gave me the opportunities to actually really be included or involved. And if they did, it was just to go in there. Ryan Kelly pulled one on me one time when I went to an event. And that was with the help of John Smith and John Rocha down in South Michigan. And it was a setup. And I told them it was. They changed the time on me, never told me that. And it was supposed to be a meet and greet for Don. And I get down there and Ryan Kelly's there. And they've got on the flyers, his picture's big as all get out. There was him, there was a doctor, there was another local candidate. And real small print at the bottom was Donna Brandenburg. And that was promised to me just to be a meet and greet for me. And it was basically something to just absolutely discredit me and put me at the bottom, like, who is this gal?
Humiliate.
That's how the Republican Party worked. And it literally was not only not helpful, it was actively involved in sabotage of me being able to get out there. And they're doing it to everybody because it's a selection process. It's not they're selecting with an illusion of choice. That's why I like what these gals are doing, because they're doing it on their own, and that's what needs to be done,
Yeah. I want to encourage you, and I might have to work to dig up the name. One of my followers some time ago instructed me, or informed me, I should say, about a candidate that did not have, but a few $1,000s really. And another candidate had more, but the candidate with the lower amount, and this was in Michigan, had actually been successful. So money doesn't always make the biggest difference. And I also wonder, maybe Donna can answer this question about the Green Township folks. I don't think they had a whole lot of money or marketing when they were fighting off Goshen. And yet they
did what these gals did, but they inspired the heart of the people. And that's what wins elections for the people that are outsiders. It's what won it for President Trump. Of course, he's got a little bit more cash than I do, because though they call me a billionaire, I don't remember ever seeing that financial statement or even anything close to it. But you know what it is it's inspiring people to do things they would never think that they could do, and to find that calling that God puts in our heart to serve, our fellow human beings, to serve God ultimately and his creation. And that's when you really win, is when you move into those realms and have an organization like Red Pilled Michigan that can sit there and help people run this Frogger gamut that's out there to get good people elected. And the fact that somebody such as, myself, who had no political background whatsoever, but I was asked, and I said, sure, I'll go ahead and do it, and see what I can do, unraveled this nonsense like I would a business to see what was really wrong. And there's a value that comes to that. But it would have made it a lot easier had I had someone that would have walked with me through this. The average person does not have the level of stubbornness that Donna Brandenburg has. And that superpower is the only way you're going to get through that. Now, I think that if we do have organizations like Red Pilled Michigan that are individuals who had the guts to step forward and say, we're going to be part of the solution. We're not going to just have these little bitch clubs that are out there to sit around and show up at meetings and bitch, and then go to the next meeting and bitch, and then go home and bitch, but nothing gets done. They're actually doing something. And I think as they grow, to be able to have people that have experience, that anyone, if you're honest, call them, because they're going to need you. We're going to need you. If you are honest and not part of this political mafia that's out there, call them. You'll have people that will be able to stand with you. And if you feel lost, perfect. That means you're not involved in the criminality that's in there in the state. If you feel lost, that should be your number one tap from God, that you're exactly the right person that we need running in this state to take up a position and help us write it. And guess what? Are you qualified? If you're honest, you're qualified. So, do you have a phone? Do you have a phone number that a quick one that we can talk about, so that they can call you to quickly get, if they have any questions? Because this is just it. It's like, this is truly like being dropped off in the middle of the Cambodian jungle, given a butter knife and saying survive. That's what it's like getting in politics, if you're honest. Right. Now, these gals have just given you an option to land into a camp that's fully stocked, that can help you get through this, and so that you're not froggered on the road here, So what's a couple phone numbers that you can give people that they can call?
Well, we do have a volunteer button on our website, which is really the best way to connect with us, because in that way we have the information. If you're sharing your phone number first, even, or if you're just sharing your email, that we have a way to do that. I kind of wanted to jump in too with really quick too, Donna, is we are having an event in the spring that we're labeling Calling All Superheroes. And it's just that people who have never done this before, who want to get involved, who think maybe they have what it takes, or they're scared about running for positions such as school board, or anything locally or statewide, that we want to be able to have kind of a meet and greet. We're going to actually have it at Nodos, and we're working on that for a spring event. But what we want to do is align people with people who've been through this before. I would have given anything to sit along somebody who ran for school board and say what they would have done differently, or what you can do to make changes. And so I've got my own formula that I've adapted to as I'm on the school board, that is working well for me, and I can keep morphing it and changing it. But we know people are going to want to get involved. So we want to do this event, Calling All Superheroes, and we're looking for great speakers who have not been through the political system before, and they landed on it just like we did as newbies, and found their way through it, and have some knowledge and expertise to share with the rest of us, and to encourage the public to come out, even if it's just helping candidates get elected, or making phone calls, the things that don't cost money. And there is a different way of doing this. I totally agree with Karen. It always doesn't have to be about the finances. There are other ways to promote and get the word out about candidates that are out there that we need as good constitutional Michigan leaders.
Everyone has a role.
Yes.
And it's like this is something Karen and I talk about all the time. Everyone has a role. And you look at how General Flynn organized the digital soldiers and got everybody online asking questions and posting and doing your own vetting. So like I'm kind of against the voter guides, okay? Because that's just a cartel telling you how to vote. Okay. If people follow an entire voter guide without saying, well, I want to look into this and I'm going to weigh what they say, but now I'm going to take this a step further and I'm going to find out all about them, because it's not out there. I dove into looking into John James this week. And I'm going to tell you what, there's some questions people need to ask about John James and the money that's behind him and the organizations that he's in and the ties to China. That at least I found you have to ask questions. Those are not going to come out in a voter guide. Same thing with Tudor Dixon. Her dad's a globalist. They have Falls River Group, which goes down to Naples, and they've got places all over the globe there. You are not going to find those in a voter guide unless somebody gets in there and really looks around. And what were they involved in? Well, besides ruining the foundry industry in Muskegon, they sell information. They're an information broker. And her dad died, about the same time that my dad died, but I didn't push it out there as a platform to run on to get the pity vote. That has no part in running this nation. We run this nation because it's a job, and our personal life should be separate. And who should and can do the job. But we need to get out there and vet people. And I think this is great if you have an organization where they're actually listening to you and looking for good candidates and are willing to really dig into people and find those honest people and give them a place to talk. Not engineered. I think this is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, I feel like we're at this position right now where things are going to change. It's not going to be the old systems that
right.
And all over and over and over again. This is an opportunity for us to birth something that is us taking control back. It's the Constitution. It's we the people, and I feel like we've kind of, myself included, kind of coasted along for a while thinking, we're voting people in and they're doing their job, only find out we have a bigger mess, from when I was a kid. I mean, you've just watched this whole process. And so even just going back, how I got involved was I went to a board meeting. Somebody asked me to go to a board meeting, and I had been out of the school system for a while, and it was like during COVID, and I could not believe what was going on, violating the Nuremberg Code with the mask usage, the different things that were going on. And I had spent my time during that helping athletes find the answers so they didn't have to get the jab, so can play their sports. I went through and we're helping other businesses, like, you need to stand strong for this. This mandate is unconstitutional, and we're just not going to go down this road. You have the power to stand up. The Constitution is the law of the land. And so I feel like we're at that point right now where people have forgotten, in a sense, what they were taught, or they're too afraid to take a stand out because they just need a refresher course. Hillsdale College offers it, and it's awesome, for you to kind of walk through, have a refresher of what this country was founded upon. What are the tools that we need as we the people that take a stand for what is right? And both Alexa and I were like, I've had many people ask, why are you doing this? Why are you running for school board? You don't even have kids in school anymore. And you just point to your kids and you point to your grandkids. And this is because it's for the future generations of our community. I had friends who were like, oh, forget it. I'm moving out of Michigan and we don't want to be a part of this anymore. This mess that it is. And I said, no, we need to stand and fight for Michigan. We need to hold the line, and we have the power to do that. People, we have the power to do that. So don't be afraid. Message us, we'll get you plugged in as a volunteer, or some form of expertise, in an area that we're not really good at, I'm sure is out there somewhere, and somebody's willing to come alongside and help.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. That's your key right there. That's the same way I feel about the assembly. It doesn't matter how many people you have and you go, I wish we had somebody. No, you look at it differently. You look at, I am so excited to meet the person that's going to fill this role. They're out there. It's just a matter of time for that sheep to turn into the lion. And when they join us, they have a role, they have a spot right there. There's a seat open waiting for them. And this exciting. I also wanted to say about your event, it can be discouraging sometimes for groups that don't have money to come up with speakers who cost money. And
Yes.
you feel like you can't market the event well because you don't have a, quote, big speaker. And if you find speakers, you were talking, Holly, about you want to find people who can teach how to run a successful campaign but yet you're doing it differently, just like Donna. You're learning how to see things differently and campaign differently than it's always been done before, because it should be done differently. So if you've got a local there, trying to read on my phone, Justin Barkley, fairly big name, well-known speaker. But if you had a candidate who had a campaign that failed and nobody knows who they are, that might be your best speaker, because the people who do show up, who want to learn, are not going to care whether your speaker is quote unquote big or how much you paid for them. They're going to care if they walk away learning something that they can use, rather than just, like Donna said, having a bitch fest where you're just going to complain together and nothing productive comes out of it. If you have a event which really inspires and encourages people so that when they walk away, they're bringing other people into the cause, then you've got something. I'm turning back to, I told a story earlier this week about my township. Well, how did the people in the township find out that we had a noise ordinance that was 40 years old, that they were going to make a minor change to, but it was a really big deal? There was a man who put out a flyer by hand, going door to door to some people. She's waving, I know that. He had a lot of friends or acquaintances in the township, and he spread the word and he put it out on Facebook. And that caused such a ruckus for the township board. They decided they had to take the meeting from the little township hall into the school, because there were going to be so many people showing up. And that's all it takes. You get a few people, key people in the community who know others.
Oh, you can't hear? Let's see what's
happening. I thought she was just waving.
Oh, she's waving at you. No, let's see. She can't hear. I can hear. Can you hear us?
I can hear too.
Let's
Holly,
see.
can you hear?
Let's see. Holly got knocked out here. So let's see. I'm not sure why we can't hear Holly, but we can't hear Holly.
All right.
So,
I thought she was just agreeing with me.
Yeah, but you know
Sorry.
what? You know what? Unmute and mute your microphone again and see if that'll work.
If she can't hear you, she can't
hear you. She's not going to hear it. Yeah, duh, Donna. Okay. You just failed the IQ test, Donna. So hang on a second. Let me see if I can.
Does she know sign language?
Hang on one second. We'll get her on a different way. We have to do this with people once in a while. We do it with Chuck all the time. So.
See, this is exactly what I was talking about. Sometimes you have to learn to adapt and do something different.
That's right. You just punt. Sometimes you just punt and you make it work. That's just it. When you don't,
give her a phone sign with your hand.
There you go. Hey, there's more than one way to skin a cat. This is it right here. You know, I am the queen of the.
I'm so sad I just missed Karen.
Oh, I'm the queen of punting. So we just
I'll watch
punt.
it later.
So, and to everybody else, this is real news for real people by real people at the kitchen table. This is as good as it gets. If you want somebody to lie to you from a script, go somewhere else. This is just us
I love
talking.
it. It's like there's that we're just talking about ways around this, and this is a way around.
Yeah, we didn't even have to go to a committee, did we? The committees the committees that Christina Caramo flushed. We don't even need a committee to get things done. It's just the strength of the individual.
We the people.
It's we
All
the
us
people.
women.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Well, anyhow, thank you for coming on today. Let's go ahead and end this in a prayer. And the direction, please, everybody pick this stuff up. Get it out to your social networking groups. And I hope I see you there on the 12th. I'm going to be there. And
Awesome.
Yeah, you got to let me know what your decorating colors are, and I will try to color coordinate with you.
Oh, there you go.
So there you go. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so very, very much for all the wonderful patriots that you are bringing together. You're bringing us together as a family, your family, one nation under you. And we're thankful for that. Thank you for all the great things that are happening. The removal of people who need to be gone. The replacing them with the individual who is called by you, has directions from you, and who knows that the only way out of this is for us to step up following your lead. And we're just thankful. We're thankful that you go before us, behind us, and next to us, that you're walking us out of this. No matter how bleak it is, we know that we're walking right behind you, and you are the path. You're the light that lights the path before us. And we're just thankful. We don't have anything to fear. There's no fear here. There's no trepidation. There's no concern. We know that the election next year, whether it goes one way or the other, you're still walking us through this, and your purposes will be accomplished. And we're thankful for that, because you're just good all the time. I ask that your favor be on Holly and on Karen and on Alexa and on Judah and all the people that have just decided as individuals to do something and not just sit there and complain and talk about, but they're actually doing something. And I ask that your favor would be upon them mightily. I ask that you would bring people alongside of them, that you would send many people to sign up for this event and be able to get together with some other patriots who have a heart for you, and realizing that government is something that you put in place. All you got to do is we got to look at the Bible, and you gave it to us right there in Kings and in Judges and Kings. The system is there. You laid it out for us. And thank you that our founding fathers listened to you, that they knew your instruction, they knew your Bible, they knew your word, and they listened to how the format you gave us to have a government that served the people, that would bring peace to our land. We ask that you bring peace to our land, that you would help turn hearts to you. And you have just been such a great friend to us. And we want things all to go to your honor and glory. Expose all things. And we just want to let you know that we love you. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
There you go.
Well, thank you, Donna. We really appreciate it. And so everybody get over to redpilledmi.org. Get your tickets.
There you go. Help them out. Hey, they you know what? They stood up. They're standing up for the state like I did. And you know what? If somebody's got the guts to stand up and do something for the state, we have an obligation and a duty to get behind them. This is not a nanny state happening here. We're not expecting somebody to come in and fix all of our problems. We need to get in there together and work together as we the people to right the state. So everybody jump on with these gals. That help them out. Ask the first words that should come out of everybody's mouth is, what can I do to help you? There you go.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
Thank
there
you.
you go. So have a great day. So I'm going to have to put this down a minute, because we always end with heart hands. So everybody knows. God bless you all. If you're feeling discouraged today, God's right here. He knows everything. He knows what you're thinking and you're feeling. Don't try to hide it from him, because it doesn't work. And he doesn't work like the secret societies. He's kind of like clear and present here all the time. So, but just so you know, God cares about you. And so for everybody that's out there, don't despair. We're taking this nation back, and we're not asking permission. and we're not quitting. We're not giving up. We're moving forward. So with that said, come and join us all. God bless you. God bless all that whom you love, and God bless America. Make it a great day. It's a choice. Make good choices. Put your time into things that are full of virtue, value, valor, all those things that are gifts of the Spirit, that are not materialistic, but that are lasting forever. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. Do the right thing. And if you don't have a good example, be one. And so with that said, I'm going to have a great show on tomorrow. Tomorrow is Troy Smocks, who was the first person who was arrested for J6. And a couple of very good patriots who have stepped up to fight the fight to end these political prisoners. What they've done, we have political prisoners in this nation. And this is something all of us need to, we need to step up. We are swearing our oath is our time, our sacred honor, our fortune to each other, to protect each other's rights as one family, the family of God first, for God, family, and country. We're going to go forward, and we're achieving it. So have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Awesome. Thanks, Donna.